What's going on, everyone? I just wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Clouser. It's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
68. Life Depth Challenge. Let's keep on doing this thing the right way. 24/7, 365, exactly like it's been done since day one. Shout to all out there in the world, baby. Let's do this! Woo!
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Clouser.
All right. What's going on, everyone? How are you? Are you guys doing well? Doing good? Fantastic. Well, it's good to hear. Well, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by again. And you know what? What's so great? Isn't that so professional? I just had a burp right there. That's, I haven't even been in a minute into this podcast, and I'm already doing the weird things, just doing the dumbest things possible to get this thing, just drilled off the rails, to shoot it to the side, and to not just to be like, what? Why do we come back and listen to this? Why do we come back to this man who sits on the third floor of a mansion in Kansas City, Missouri, and now he braids his hair? It's great. This actually might be the last time I braid my hair. I think I'm done with it. It was a fun little thing to learn how to do, but now I'm kind of like, all right, well, I'm kind of over it. I just want to do something else now. So so this is the whole thing. I don't think I've ever really talked about why I grew my hair out. So a couple of reasons why I did that was because, so I came from a military family. I got adopted into a military family, and my dad, he was retired from that, and then he was just living a normal civilian life. But we were just a super clean cut family. He was super clean cut. He never had facial hair at all. Facial hair was not allowed in the household because my dad didn't have it, and then two, because my mom didn't like it either. So I wasn't allowed to have it either. And I just stayed clean cut because I was always just like, oh, well, I'm under their house and rules, and my dad's clean cut. So, and he always wore this. You know what's so weird about my? It's not weird. I do it too. He found outfits, and he would always just wear that. So he would always wear jeans and a button-up shirt, and he would tuck it in, and that's what he would always wear. Or he would wear khakis and a button-up shirt, either one or two, A or B. That was it. And it was just my father is the most simplest man you've ever met, but he's so quiet, and I think about this all the time because I never he doesn't really open up very much. I don't know very much about him. We don't have that kind of relationship. It's just he's very old school. You stay stoic, you support the family, you be a man, and then that's it. And there was really no life lessons. It was just you kind of know what's going on because you see by example kind of thing. There was none of this. At one time, I take that back. One time he did. I was maybe 13. I would say 13 because I was just old enough where I should have known better. And so that's the reason why he freaked out on me about this. So I was sitting on the kitchen table doing my homework, just doing, whatever it is, algebra or social studies or history. And my mom came into the house and she had groceries. And I stayed sitting down, and he freaked out. He's like, John, what the hell are you doing? He's like, you get up, and if you ever see a woman carry groceries, you never, ever, 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 ever let them carry it. You take them and you offer to carry them. And I'm like, okay. And it was terrifying. I have never seen my dad snap. And that was the few times. That was the only time I've ever seen my dad do that. And it was so funny because I still hold that close to my head now. So whenever I'm dating a girl or something like that, I never let her carry anything because it's just like I was raised because like old school. Like I came from this old school mentality. Then you stand up when you see people that are standing, and like because if you're younger, like because I was young and we would travel a lot, so we would take like subways and buses, and some of these buses you have to stand up in. And my parents would always be like, John, you have to offer, like, if you see someone, like a woman, you offer your seat up. It's just what you do, because that's what a man does. You be polite and you respect other people. It was the most interesting way of living. I should say that it wasn't that it was interesting. It was interesting in the sense of like very proper, very stoic, and be very like by the books. And so, like, growing up like that and then going out in the real world, you're like, oh, a lot of people aren't raised like this at all. And it's interesting because for me, I'm like, well, I thought this was just normal. I thought you just normally just fucking just did all this stuff because I thought everyone did that. And it's like, nope. Because, like, most of my stuff, like, I just don't want to get yelled at by my parents. A lot of my relationship with my like, when my parents was just don't get in trouble enough to the point where they're going to yell at you, because yelling at you lasts for days. It would be days of yelling. My mom would take breaks. She would yell at me for a couple hours and she'd take a break, and then she'd come back down and she would like yell at me some more. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I got it the first hour and a half that you were saying all this stuff, and okay, I get it. It was very interesting. It was very fun, but it's just, parents do that shit so you can become a better person. I guess I don't know. I don't have kids. I don't know how it is. And mostly, maybe this is the reason why I never wanted to have kids. I never had the idea of it, because I was always looked at like my parents. It was so funny. It's funny because, like, you talk about this kind of stuff in therapy, and which I recommend to everyone. You should all do. It's very important. And I was just making sure that it was still recording. I'm like, I pushed record, but I just never make sure that the microphone was actually connected to this audio software, because I do 2 different software systems for this podcast. So when I do my plug at the beginning, I do GarageBand, and then when I do this actual audio, I use a more professional audio system, so it has a little bit more control of the editing process of it. But anyway, back to my story. Most of my relationship was based on like just fear and not doing anything stupid to get in trouble. And yeah. So that was about it. That was honestly, to tell you the truth, when I went off that segment, I thought I could go back, but I couldn't go back at all. So what is this? Like day 2488 of COVID? Isn't it great? Like, it's so interesting because, the vaccine just came out. And the funniest thing is that as humans, as like, I don't know if it's just like humans or if it's American thing for this whole, but we ask the government, like, we get mad at them when like they don't give us any like directions or instructions of like how to live life with this pandemic that was going on for this last year, pretty much at this point. They never said anything. We'd get upset, but then they came out there saying that maybe you should wear a mask, and we got upset by that. So many people got upset, saying that it was against our rights, and I can't breathe in these masks, and like you can't tell me that I have to wear this mask, but yet we abide by the rule of like no shirts, no shoes, no service kind of thing. So why can't we just do no shirts, no service, no masks? I don't understand how. Just wear it at this time, and if you don't believe it around your friends, and then so be it. Like I don't know what to tell you, and I guess some of y'all are gonna get sick, and some of you might get and just die. But it's so interesting now. Like the government's like, well, hey, like we spent all this time finding this vaccine, and we rushed it through, and like now so many people are upset that no, this is gonna be a way that the government's going to control us, and this is how they're gonna put microchips in the vaccine, and they're gonna make us zombies. They're gonna do all these things. They're gonna make us robots. It's like maybe they're just trying to help. And, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not. But I'm just saying these are people that went to school for something a lot more advanced than I went to school for. So I'm just going to take the benefit of the doubt, and I would just do it. things like smallpox, things like, the measles. These things were cured by the fact that we decided that these things are mandatory, and you take shots for them, and you do that before you start going to school because you're around other little human beings. And like, it's very similar to, what's so crazy is like the vaccines that you take for school is very similar in the whole sense of like what we're trying to do now by taking a vaccine. Like when you go to school, like there's a lot of gross other people that come from all over the other aspects of the world, and you don't know what they're carrying. And then like one of them, all it takes is one of them to have that something and then like cough on it, and like your kids and just lick on everything anyway. And then boom, like a whole school can be just sick with a sickness. But since we take vaccinations, now we don't have to worry about those little things, and we just go ahead and live our life. And like, that's the problem when you have large bunches of like anything, when we have like chickens or like pigs and like a large group of them that are living together, like, there's sicknesses and like, mad cow, because cows were eating other cows. And was it the stuff with pork? There was a pork thing, like, because I think the pigs were eating other pigs. There's sicknesses with the animals because they're in their own feces and shit. It's the same thing. Same thing can be with humans when there's just so many humans that. But the thing is, like, what's smart about us versus like a chicken or a cow or a pig is the fact that we have vaccinations, we have these shots, and we have these cures for these things. And what's fucked up? Maybe this is just one of those things that we'll have to add on to the list of shit we have to take in our lifetime, because it's either that or we can't live. And I don't know. Do you know? And the thing is, like, it's always somebody who's the person who's always arguing this is always somebody who didn't go to school for it either. It's like, because if you went to school for it, you might have a better explanation for it, understanding of it. And I'm just saying, like, you are getting it from someone else, and they're getting it from someone else, and they're getting it from some source, and the source might be right or it could be wrong. And, there could be some fuckery to it, but it's just insane. And I don't even know how I got onto this. I think it's because the whole COVID, like day 2000 somehow. It's going to be so interesting to look back on this whole situation. And because this is like this would be for me, like I had 9/11. I thought, that was something I lived through. Like I was a kid when that happened, and then I have like this thing. There's been, there hasn't been any like crazy. I mean, I guess assassination of like Bin Laden. That's another like thing that I lived through. I'm like trying to think of things like when I'm old and I'm like an old senior citizen, because I work right now at a retirement resort, and these people are older, like they're in their 60s, late 60s to like 100. I think the oldest person we have is 102 years old, and like I see these people every day. I'm interacting with them like 5 out of the 7 days out of the week. And I'm seeing like all these different people's lives they lived. Like some of them like survived World War II. Like someone went to war in World War II and they're a veteran. And like that's insane. That's crazy. But the thing is, like, I'm not saying that surviving the pandemic or being in this pandemic is anything. It's going to be interesting to have that in your back pocket, knowing that you survived and you're around that. It would be the equivalent of like surviving the Holocaust or doing something crazy like that. It's just one of those weird things that occurred in humanity, and you were born in that history time. But yeah, I think about like, what am I going to be saying about this? Like when I'm 80 years old, if I 80, what on my later years, my back, I'm on my like the 18th hole of my life. Like what am I going to be saying about it? How am I going to be saying, like, what's my thought process going to be about it? Like, what did I learn? What changed about my whole life? Did I ever go back? Because, for some people, this was their year. Like, it was so funny because Aaron and I talk about all the time. Aaron's my co-host for my other podcasts I do. And the other podcast that I produce called Cool Baby and the Aaron and John Show, which is on every Thursday, which he won't be back this week, the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to try to either find guests or just not do it. Just have this be the only thing I promote all week. Well, anyway, so we both talk about it all the time, like, because like I got my dream job. I was a producer for a film company, and he just got an agent, and he was getting a lot of auditions for, you know, TV roles, and just like, you know, just doing some like spots for some sitcoms or something like that. And then the whole world just shit on itself. And I got, you know, like my job was like, you know, hey, like we're not going to need you anymore because we're not doing any productions because we can't do anything. Because I was setting up to do a project to go to Norway. I was going to go to Norway. I was literally taking phone calls with people in Norway talking about like, hey, like, can I get a rifle? Like, is there any way that like, do you have like a rifleman that is on your location, or do I need to hire a person to have a gun with me, or can I rent a gun? Do you know a place where I can rent a gun? Because you have to have a rifle. It's literally like once you get outside like a certain perimeter of each city or each town in Norway, in the part that we're going to, it's mandatory that you have to have a rifle on hand because there's polar bears, and if you run into a polar bear, the thing's going to try to kill you, and so you have to be able to try to kill it. And I'm going to be filming and I was taking phone calls about trying to film in a place where I have to worry about that. Not just worry about getting a shot, not have to worry about like what lens I'm going to use. Oh, what kind of batteries do I need to bring? I also need to worry about like, hey, there's going to be a polar bear that may or may not kill you. So you need to have a rifle on you, John, at all times. Like, so I was getting ready for that. And Aaron, you know, got an agent. He was getting all these, like, he had this whole tour thing, right? He was getting set up. And then what was so great about it was that, you know, I was like thinking like, you know, him and I started doing the podcast, the Aaron and John show. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to be able to follow him. I'm going to like, some of these weekends I'm going to take off when he's like doing this shoot or when he's going into these shows, and I'm going to record it. I'm going to just do a little thing. It'll be awesome. We're going to have the days that I'm not filming or out of town for my job, this is what I'm going to do. It's like I had this whole thing planned up, like we were just going to just start killing it, like just making all this content, and then the whole thing just kind of showed on itself. Now we're like sitting here doing all these podcasts. It's insane. I feel like there's a level of, I still feel lazy, of course, but there's a level of accomplishment that I feel like every week producing 3 podcasts, doing everything, like, because you should have seen like last week's podcast, Cool Baby episode, where like, we filmed in another room. We filmed and I lit a whole another area, and I can just notice that there's like a big shadow over here. It's crazy. Anyway, I don't care. It's because like I keep moving everything around, and I'm thinking about I'm going to move this whole podcast again, and I'm going to change the whole background of it. You know, like as soon as I start figuring out one way, I'm going to just do something completely different. You know, it's just what I do. It's how I do it. But, you know, what are we at? We're like, what, 12 minutes left? Like, I have like 12 minutes exactly left. You know, like, you know what feels good? What feels good is that, like, getting all your laundry done. I had a shit ton of laundry because I was such a moron. I didn't do my laundry for 2 weeks. I always do it every week, you know. Okay, are you guys as anal about your laundry as I am? So I do, like, my work clothes, and I only wash my work clothes. Then I have, like, my clothes I wear out in the world, but I guess at this time, just my clothes I wear not at work, and those, and then my gym clothes, and then I wash my towels separately. Like, I don't understand people who wash their towels with their clothes. I think that's psycho. I find that crazy. I'm like, do you not understand how crazy and how like hard the towels are when they're like in the dryer with your clothes? It blows my mind. What also blows my mind is people who like will like just wash their colored clothes with all their whites. I don't get that either. That hurts my heart. It really does. Because I'm like, you spend all that money on your clothes. Like, do you not care about like making sure like in keeping the quality of those clothes like as pristine, like as pristine-ish as like nice as possible? Pristine. There we go. Yeah. Hey, you know what? There's little hurdles that you sometimes have to hop over in life, and that was one of them. And the thing is, like, you saw me, I had an obstacle, I faced it, I moved on, and I became better because of it. And you witnessed it. And that's one to grow on, everyone. And that's what I want you guys to take away from this. Not just this episode, but all my episodes, is that you're going to have hurdles in life. And once you face those hurdles, things aren't that bad. Maybe not that bad. It's crazy though. Like, I do this, like this week actually was like, I was pretty relaxed, more relaxed than I normally am. I'm normally like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. How am I going to talk? And I just kind of realized, like, John, you've done like 43 of these episodes. Like at this point, like you should like just relax. Like I even noticed, like I'm getting more relaxed with how I even prepare for these episodes. I have like a whole sheet here on this computer instead of like writing it down in this book. And I kind of write a little bit down on this book, and I almost want to have it almost like as a scrap book, but I have it also mostly so when I make my notes for editing. That's kind of why I have it on a piece of paper, because I don't want to have another computer right next to another computer making notes, because after I export this video, I make it, sync up the sound, I do color correction to it. I make sure like the color volume is good, how I want it to look. I'm going to try to get rid of that damn shadow, which I didn't even realize. I wasn't even thinking about it, guys, when I was doing this, and I have a hard light that's right here that's pushing right on my left shoulder, so it's causing this whole thing to shadow, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is pretty unprofessional, Juanito. You're fucked up. You messed up, Juan. But, and I'm just, doing this podcast, but after I get done with doing this episode, I do all the color correction, but I have to write it down because I have to make sure that the plug clip matches the clip, the main show. So I write like the exposure of like the globe. It's like the globe, the high points, the midpoints, the low points, and the highlights. And you do that for like the exposure. You do that for the color balance. You do it for like the backlight. And it's just little things you can do in editing that makes your video look a little bit better. It's almost like Photoshop for like video. It's the same kind of concept. Like you take a photo into Photoshop, the program, and you can adjust the little levels, make them a little brighter, make the foreground brighter than the background, all that good stuff. It's just, that's what it is. I guess that's the film tip of this week. That's something interesting you can learn. What's so cool is like I love learning the back end of things of programs, of like how productions are made. I talk about this all the time, I think, to all my film friends. Like if it wasn't for the director's commentary for for DVDs, I don't think I probably would have gotten a film. I wouldn't have like thought it's as interesting as I used to, or as I do now. That was like such a fucked up sentence because I flicked everything and I was just so distracted. But I really feel like that it showed this really cool back end of film that it was almost equivalent. It was the equivalent of like how kids now, if they're starting to do filmmaking, they can go on YouTube and they can see how to do a 3-point lighting. And I didn't have school. I didn't know, like you would have to get books for that. We didn't have a lot of videos, and even like the videos there were, like if you didn't have good internet, then you're not going to be able to see them. That's how it is. You're just not going to be able to understand what the video is trying to show you. But you get to learn like 3-point lighting. You can learn how to do like halo lights. You can figure out how to do like framing for shots. You get to learn how to like you get to learn all these cool things that you learn in film school, but super easy. But like the director's commentary was the equivalent of that for when I was this age, these kids' age at this age, in 2020. So filmmaking it's insane. It's one of the most insane things I think I ever did. I love it every moment. I'm so glad that I chose this, but it's also like, man, it's because like you have highs and then you have lows, and you have highs and you have lows, and this is how the film career is. And I was directing there for a while, and then I was chilling out there for a while, and then I was producing there for a while, and then I'm chilling back out again for a while. It's just like careers are up and down. You gotta do your thing, and then but I don't put everything in just one basket. I also write and do like scripts, and those are always so much fun, but they help with everything. Everything is like this, and I do this, and this helps with ideas, helps for things to talk about, to end up writing about. Also, an interesting thing I heard today on a podcast was listening to old songs that you like from childhood. They help, like, they spark up memories, and then you just always have a notepad with you, and it allows you to then write down those ideas, and it kind of helps you with remembering things, and maybe like going down different alleys that you normally wouldn't have gone down in a story or something you're working on. Like, you always got to find interesting ways to find a way to like make a story. It's so much fun, or a story or an idea. Like, I'm always writing things down. I don't know. It's like, in my mind, I'm just not. In my mind, how I think of it is like, I'm not good enough to just be able to sit down on a computer and just write. I have to like have a lot of built up stuff so I can then like look at that and be able to like spark up ideas of like when I write. And when I think about like podcasts, like when I do this podcast, like I write down little things that I would want to talk about. And, I might not use it. I might just go ahead and just go off the cuff, like this whole thing. Like most of this whole podcast, I didn't write any of that down. Like, I had a whole other thing for this show, but I have it to set myself up to be more prepared and be more ready for what I'm doing. It'd be the equivalent of me writing down a bunch of notes, and then when I sit down and I write, I could just maybe that day, like I just am in the zone, and I'm just like sitting there. I'm just like, fuck yeah. I'm just like the bats and the goats and the chickens are all in the row, all in the chicken, all in the coop, all in the houses, all in the pigsty, all these things. And then I'm good. The other days it's like a real struggle. And so I have to like think, I'm like, okay, well, then like talk about like, how somebody like was picking their nose, and like you saw them like look around and like wipe it on their shirt and then like lick their finger, and like that was a real thing I saw this week too. But you just have those little things, and then you have them and you write about it, and then you try to expand on it, like embellish it a little bit, add some more flair to it, add another situation that you saw but you didn't have any subtext to use it for anything, and so now you add that, so it's like A, B, C, and you just add, and you just basically made a story out of two different events, but two different events added up to one story, which is better than no story. So, it's pretty much how it works. That's how, I don't know. Maybe I'm like telling like the back end of like how my stuff works, or how I do my writing, and how I do my stories, and how I do podcasting and stuff like that. But I think it's interesting. I think that would be, if there is like a young kid filmmaker, that's what I would really be learning about. It's all hand in hand, especially as a filmmaker, because you need to know every aspect of things. You need to know your sound, you need to know the video, you need to know the lights, you need to know all of it. The talent, you need to be able to relate to all of it. And if you can't, then that doesn't make you a good director. And that's one of the big things I've been learning lately, is that you have to I need to learn how to be more precise in how I want to talk and how I want to say things, and how I need to give an actual direction to somebody. But we're getting there. We're doing it. And then every week I do this, I learn more about that, and I'm able to be more precise in talking and shooting. Clearly not lighting though. This makes me upset. But you can't be perfect. Every episode's was blah blah. I even saw this when I was lighting this whole room tonight. I was like, I don't. Something about this doesn't look right. I can't figure it out. But I just wanted to get it done and over with, because it's like 9:30, super early, and I got all my laundry done. Like, I'm gonna be able to chill out, get a little bit of writing done, get everything ready for tomorrow. Everything's already set out. I have my gym clothes, then I have my work clothes. We're here. I get this podcast done, then I'll be able to edit it because I have to get it ready for tomorrow. Everything's done. All I have to do is just now export it. That's it. We're living good. But what do we have? I have a minute left. So I just want to say, if you guys gotten this far, thank you. One. Another thing is like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up would be really cool. That'd be awesome. And be safe. Don't have fun. Do drugs if you want. I don't care. Live your life. Be fun. I tried a new marinade for my beef and rice for my pre-made meals. I'm going to eat one of those after this podcast while all this video stuff is being imported onto my computer. So I'll see you guys on another episode. Would be episode 44 then. I guess Merry Christmas. If you guys had a good Hanukkah, hope you guys had a great Hanukkah. Hanukkah for this year was pretty awesome. It was great. I got to do a little prayer every day because at my job we had a menorah, and it was like one of these little. It was a nice one, and then you had the little light bulb, and you just twisted it and it lit up. So it was a metaphor for everything. It was really cool. But Merry Christmas, guys. Be safe. Have fun. Wear a mask if you want to. Wash your hands. I just say wash your hands. If you wash your hands, it helps out a lot too. Just wash your hands. Yeah. Be safe on this holiday weekend, and I will see you guys leading up to my birthday. My birthday is January 1st, so yeah, we might be doing a little podcast. Aaron and I might be doing a little podcast for Aaron and John show, and I'll be doing something else. But I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.